And so what essentially we're going to do is we're just going to ask some questions of our team here. So let's start it off with just the basic element of, why on earth would one even have to supplement? And Dr. Raj, being a naturopathic physician, some of the things that people come up, it's like, I eat an organic diet, I eat healthy, I'm not into the big supplement fad. Why is that even important? What can you share with our friends here?
It'd be nice to have a mic. It's nice to be here, everyone. So to answer that question, we go back to simple economics, supply and demand. And I think over the years, we all can see how our environment has changed dramatically. Food, questionable, as far as food growth, farming, so on. The quality of food seems to be suffering, yet the environment is changing dramatically. So our bodies aren't adapting to this as well as it should. And recently, I think last week, a study came out of excuse me, Great Britain that now they recommend people to eat 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day
10 servings, wow.
to balance the need from the environmental toxins, the environmental stresses. So it's very difficult for a lot of people to get 10 servings a day. So there's the argument for supplementation, to balance the supply with the demand. We got a much higher demand for good nutrients to thwart off chronic degenerative diseases. So the supply needs to be increased. So it's a simple way I explain to patients, just supply and demand.
Easy, great. So, one of the things that I've noticed too, being a healthcare practitioner is, the demands are so high in that we live in a world where there's so much information, there's so much stress on the system, and I'm pretty impeccable with what I put in my mouth as well as my mind, and I can't get 10 servings a day. So it's a quick, efficient way, and it's guaranteed as well, because half the time we don't even know what we're getting at the grocery store. Thank you, Dr. Raj. Dr. Ken, tell us a little bit about, there's a lot of conversations about brain health, the nervous system, and oxidation, and why would antioxidants be important for brain health?
Well, our brain is a very metabolic demand organ. We use about like 20% of the energy. And also, I think in the last 20, 30 years, because of this little device here, we always put it next to our ear and stuff like that. So there's actually increased, exposure to all these like electromagnetic fields, and these electromagnetic fields actually increases our the reactive oxygen species in the brain, and also changes the glucose metabolism. So even though if you're not putting the cell phone right next to your ear all the time, everywhere you go, like, people just like ask, they don't ask like, where's the washroom first? It's like, where's the Wi-Fi, right? So it's like Wi-Fi is all over, right? Even though we don't see these like little electromagnetic fields, it's all over us. And I think with the technology kind of going on and now with the field, I think we're increasing our exposure. And that has some really subtle but very important effect on our brain and the health of brain. So I think that we need to make sure our brain get enough antioxidants to protect our brain, so that when we get older, it'll still work, and we know what the password for the Wi-Fi's are.
Beautiful. And that's an important piece, because a lot of people will say, stress doesn't affect me, or I'm okay. And the reality is that every moment of every single day, wherever I go, I have a Wi-Fi signal. So there's like low-grade radiation beating down my cells, tissues, causing oxidation. And they always say like stress is the silent killer, some of which we're aware of and a lot of which we're not. So it's almost like an insurance policy, because what I also know, when we get to a place where our brain and nervous system breaks down and we have dementia or Alzheimer's, we've almost crossed the line of point of no return. Whereas when we can be proactive, we can actually ward those things off. And when you combine it with CogniFit and brain training, it almost makes you, I say that, it makes you bulletproof. And that's a beautiful thing. Okay, so Holly, as a business owner with Elysian, we have guaranteed results. And that's such a gift, because quality builds an incredible foundation for what we do. So being the product expert at Elysian Sciences, tell us a little bit about how important it is to have these products manufactured right here at home, Canada, Vancouver.
Well, one of the main reasons we're having products here made in Canada is because Canada is the first and the only country that regulates natural health products. And when I refer to natural health products, includes vitamins and minerals, amino acids, herbal remedies. And these products are regulated in a very unique manner by Health Canada, and no other country is doing the same thing. First of all, these products are to be registered and by Health Canada. And a number has to be issued, natural product number that has to be appear on the label. And in order to obtain this number, these products, the claims, the health claims, the functional claims are to be reviewed and approved by Health Canada. So as earlier Dr. Suki and also Ved emphasized on the 18 health claims that are to be made and approved on Mastermind, these claims have to be reviewed and supported by extensive evidence and by Health Canada in order to have us to allow us to make those claims on the label and on the website. And this is a fundamental difference between FDA and Health Canada. Dietary supplement, which is the equivalent of a natural health product, is not subjected to the same kind of regulation, regulatory, I guess, standard to be more accurate and compared to Health Canada. So no health claims can be made by FDA or allowed to be made on dietary supplement because there's no regulatory bodies reviewing and approving these health claims, unlike Health Canada. So, and most importantly, natural health products, after they are approved, have to be manufactured by facilities that are granted by Health Canada with site license. And this is a very stringent approval process and involve good manufacturing practice and to be inspected and approved by Health Canada regulatory bodies.
Thank you, Holly. So, one of the pieces that I'd share is that do not take those Canadian claims lightly. We have one of the most strictest, most stringent approval processes in Canada. To have that on our products, it's a total game changer. And I can't stress that enough in what we had to go through to actually get that approval on our products. It's an absolute game changer. Don't take that lightly. Thank you, Holly. Dr. Raj, there's vegetables out there, there's fruits out there. Some people are like, I need more greens, less berries. I need more berries, less greens. Is it tomato or is it tomato?
You tell me. My wife says it's tomato.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, she's from England, so.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about, greens versus berries, comparing, contrast them, our cellular need for them, the impact that it has for us.
Okay. Well, I think the simplest way to explain it is that the berries are what we've talked about earlier, antioxidants, and the green components are the detoxifiers. A lot of times people confuse the two, but they are quite different. So an antioxidant prevents oxidation. Oxidation is, if you want to think of it simplistically, is rust, like rusting away. Like your car can rust when it's exposed to salt with all the terrible weather we've had. That's an oxidative process. So, the metal of the car gets brittle and it breaks down. That's oxidation. So essentially in our bodies, we oxidize similarly. And so it's important to get antioxidants that quench those, what they call free radicals. Those components, just like salt on a car, that just rusts the car away. Oxidants will do that to our bodies. So for example, like our blood vessels, they get oxidized, they get hard, they get brittle. So it predisposes you for various kinds of disease. So that's an antioxidant. And so your fruits, all the colored fruits, the berries and so on, are powerful antioxidants. Now greens, they support the liver's function to detoxify. So we're constantly exposed to toxins, various kinds, organic, inorganic. These toxins can infiltrate our bodies and cause toxic damage. That toxic damage, as we know, can lead to acute and eventually chronic disease. So all your greens, like your cruciferous vegetables, your broccolis, your cabbage, your kale, all these things that a lot of people don't like to eat, particularly our youth. They're not into that. So we know that toxic exposure is just magnituding. And so taking these greens helps to detoxify. So something like the Genesis, for example, you got your greens and your fruits together. You know, simple, easy way to meet those requirements to detoxify and to reduce that oxidative damage.
Beautiful, beautifully said. So essentially, both are necessary. And speaking about Genesis, Dr. Ken, can you shed some light about, you know, Genesis? And we know now it's, you know, it's detoxifying, it's adding antioxidation. What role would a product like that be with supporting the immune system?
Well, I think the probiotics there is very, very important. As some of you know, like, you know, we're like kind of walking around with like 10 times more like bacteria than our own body cells. So, and these bacteria play a very important role in keeping us sort of our immune system in check and balance. And I think that's why when people get sick and the overuse of antibiotics, we actually killed off a lot of the good bacteria and then give the opportunity for the bad bacteria to sort of harm us. So, and having good gut health and using probiotics, I think would help retain and sort of like return the balance of our gut microflora. And it has that thing that affects our emotions as well. Because, you know, like that gut feeling, then now they find it's kind of true because a lot of the serotonin is made in the gut, and a lot of this, the signaling and how our body sort of react with the bacteria has direct influence of our health. And I would like to give you one example. Some papers I read, actually, I read the paper afterwards. What happened was for me, as I've been taking Genesis for like quite a while, I can say that, right? Yeah.
You can say that.
I can say that. Okay, good. Like for like more than a year, and what I noticed is like my hay fever symptoms got better. It's like kind of strange. Why don't I have to buy my antihistamines? So I actually go and look. It's like, okay, there's something in there, obviously, that sort of like got my hay fever go away, right? So I looked into that, and I found a paper and some things about probiotics and help to retain your gut health and your balance of all the bacteria. And not only hay fever, but it actually improved a lot of allergic reactions as well. So I think in addition to Dr. Raj talked about the greens and berries, how wonderful they are, and I really like the probiotics in Genesis.
Beautiful. And, you know, a lot of the research is moving too. We're actually referring to our GI, our gastrointestinal system, as the second brain. And that bacterial flora and culture is actually so important for our immune system, because that's like things like antibiotics and things like that. They actually strip our GI of that beautiful bacteria, impacting our immune system and ultimately our overall health. So here's something, you know, in the Genesis that actually is going to support that process, support the immune system, allowing you to combat off all those sniffles that come our way. Thank you.
So spring is coming.
Sorry?
Spring is coming.
Spring is coming.
Yeah.
We're going suntanning at Wreck Beach.
And the hay fever is coming too, so I think the Genesis would do a great thing for us. Make sure you take your Genesis.
I will. Holly, you know, I have a confession to make. I threw up a slide up there and had all these green labels below it, and I'll be honest, I don't even know what half of them were. You know, tell us what some of those things mean. Like, what's GMP and all these great certifications we have with our products?
Well, GMP, good manufacturing practice. GMP is a system that's designed to ensure that the products are produced consistently and according to quality standards. Well, GMP depends on who you ask. Quite often, I would like to describe it as 4 Ps. There's people, there's place or premises, and there's process or procedures, and there's products. So starting with people, a quality manufacturing facility have to ensure that the quality personnel are responsible for manufacturing and quality control. So at our manufacturing facility, I don't know if all of you know that we are equipped with 14 PhDs and in the field of phytochemistry, phytomedicine, and their job is to design and develop, implement quality
I just want to highlight that. 14. You said
Yeah.
14 PhDs at the facility where our products are made.
Yes.
No
And the-
biggie, no big deal.
Only 14. we're still hiring. So, and their job is to design, we're growing, design, implement, and the quality manufacturing system and the quality control system. So that's people, very important. And the next premises, I believe, premises in place. So this is talking about manufacturing facility, the space, how materials are separated, the prevention of cross-contamination, and ventilation, the air purification, lighting, and the equipment. So that's the next P. And the third P is the procedures and process. And this is what I call SOP, standard operating procedures. And these are very extensive, comprehensive, and precise procedures written down to make sure that all activities are conducted to a certain standard and consistently. So that's very important. So anything from how to receive materials, how to store them, how to sanitation activities are carried out, and how finished products are released, and all these are activities to be standardized, and then record keeping for all these activities are kept on site, so there's traceability. So last P, the products. So that's, of course, very important from the beginning to the end, how the raw materials are acquired, how they are shipped to us, and how they are quality controlled, verified, tested, and all the way into finished products, and how finished products are verified for their identity, for their potency, and for their purity. So, and we are very, again, our manufacturing facility is equipped with our in-house testing lab. So we have analytical testing for chemical and physical testing. We can test for impurities. And we also have microbial testing lab in-house. Very important because we can test the raw materials in time before we release them before production, and we can test the finished products before we release them for distribution. And that's something that we have this unique advantage, and only a few manufacturing facilities I know in the world have the kind of testing, and also the personnel, as I mentioned earlier, and we have PhDs, and we have people who have master's degrees and who are conducting these kind of analytical testing. So we're very proud to have this kind of capabilities.
Beautiful. And I've been to the manufacturing facility, and what I'll say is, it's straight out of a Hollywood movie. You get gowned up, and the facility is locked down. It is like, everything is down to the finest detail, which, again, goes back to our products, and you can lean on and trust the processes that go through in the manufacturing process, the testing, the guaranteeing of what's inside the products actually is what it's saying on the label. It's amazing. Thank you, Holly. Okay, we're going to move to our last question here. Dr. Raj, this guy's for you. Let's share a little bit about brain health awareness and why prevention would actually be so important for people.
Okay, good question. I think it's something very, very important. I think this is probably a very important take-home information for people here today, is that brain health is something that's being overlooked and is a potential epidemic for chronic healthcare management in Canada and the world. It's an emerging disease process that we take for granted. Typically, we all look at things like gut health, musculoskeletal health, body composition. Do we look good in these genes? Are we going to be looking good, when we're older? So we're always aware of various types of health parameters. But in my clinic, when I ask people, well, how's your mental health? They take a step back because it's almost like a taboo subject, that mental health, well, there's nothing wrong with me. And we don't equate mental health in a preventative fashion, and we certainly should. So, the platform that Elysian has here reaches to a peak that supports the concept of mastermind and mental health. And I think the products that we're using are helping people to prevent chronic degenerative mental disease. So we're actually preserving brain health, just like we want to preserve, bone health. People talk about osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. There's huge awareness campaigns for problems of that nature, but brain health is being ignored. So when we talk to our friends, our relatives, people we know that may be suffering from brain health issues, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and something that's really creeping up unnoticeably, which is post-traumatic brain injury. So all of you have children, playing sports, competitive sports. There's the link between brain health and cognitive function due to traumatic injury, even playing soccer now, people that are heading the ball, that there's some research that indicates that that may lead to brain injury. So preventing brain injury is critical. I can't emphasize it enough. Everyone here needs to take that information home, help themselves, their loved ones, their children, put together a platform that will help them to understand that it's not a taboo, that brain health is absolutely critical, because preventing dementia, Alzheimer's, all these chronic brain diseases is actually possible. However, when that disease process grabs a hold, it's very difficult to reverse. So it's not a doom and gloom session, but that's the extreme nature. But on a focus level, cognitive function, focus, clarity, performance at school, things like that, those are also functions of brain health. And using whatever strategies we have, whether it's to psychological awareness, cognitive behavior therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, nutraceuticals, nutrition, we need to take that home with us today for sure.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Rush. The one piece that I would add to that is it is amazing that we could actually ward off and prevent these things by using extraordinary products like this. And what I'll also say is when you combine the CogniFit training, when you combine personal development, advanced training, expanding your mind, those elements multiply together. And when they multiply together, we actually even transcend prevention and we begin to optimize. We begin to tap into our full potential. So not only can we ward things off, prevent things, we could actually gain things. And to me, that's a game changer. Let's give our panel a round of applause. Thank you so much.